I never thought the first lie I told at work would ruin my life or save it. But that's the thing about lies. Once spoken, they grow fangs, sink deep, and refuse to let go. It started in New York, where ambition burns hotter than coffee and colder than the subway wind. I had just landed my dream job at Whitaker Enterprises, one of the most powerful financial firms in Manhattan. The catch? My boss, Robert Whitaker, was notorious for mixing business with family. His daughter, Emily, had just returned from abroad, and rumors swirled that she was engaged. Imagine my horror when one office dinner spiraled into a misunderstanding that branded me as her mysterious fiancé. I should have corrected it right then. Should have laughed it off and said, "No, you've got the wrong guy." But the way Robert's proud eyes softened when he looked at me, the way Emily squeezed my hand under the table with a silent plea, God, I couldn't undo it. My career, my reputation, maybe my entire life at the firm, hung by a thread of that one white lie. So I nodded, smiled, and stepped into a role I was never meant to play. For weeks, I wore the mask of Emily's devoted fiancé. Office whispers turned into congratulations. Robert treated me like the son he never had. Emily and I rehearsed our roles, smiling in front of everyone, laughing at private jokes that didn't exist. It was exhausting but necessary. And then I met him, Daniel Whitaker. Daniel was Emily's older brother, heir apparent to Whitaker Enterprises, and everything I wasn't. He had that effortless confidence, the kind that made rooms fall silent when he entered. Dark brown hair, always perfectly disheveled, and eyes that saw too much. He didn't look at me like everyone else did. He looked through me. At first, I thought it was suspicion. Maybe he was the only one who could see the cracks in my performance. But the longer his gaze lingered, the more I realized it wasn't suspicion. It was something far more dangerous. One night, after an exhausting charity gala, I slipped out onto the balcony for air. Manhattan glittered beneath me, a city built on secrets and broken promises. I didn't hear him until he was right behind me. "So," Daniel said, his voice low, teasing, "my sister's fiancé. You don't wear it well." I turned, caught in the trap of his smirk, the way the city lights kissed the sharp line of his jaw. "Maybe I'm just not used to the role," I muttered. "Or maybe you're not meant for it." He stepped closer, close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating from his body, the faint scent of whiskey and cedar clinging to him. His eyes locked on mine, unrelenting. "Tell me, are you lying to hear to yourself?" My chest tightened. I wanted to laugh, to deny it, but the truth twisted in my throat like a blade. He knew. Somehow he knew. From that night, everything shifted. Daniel found excuses to corner Maine the elevator, in the office late at night, at family dinners where his knee brushed mine beneath the table. Every touch was accidental, every look deliberate. I told myself it was wrong, that Emily didn't deserve this betrayal, that Robert would destroy me if he ever found out, that my career, the one thing I had clawed and bled for, would collapse. But desire doesn't care about consequences. Desire waits in the silence, blooms in the shadows, and swallows you whole before you can fight it. The first time Daniel kissed me, it wasn't tender. It was brutal. We were arguing in his apartment about Emily, about me, about this insane web of lies, and suddenly his hands were on my face, his mouth crushing mine like he'd been starving for it. And God help me, I kissed him back. It was fire and fury and everything I had buried inside myself for years. When we finally pulled apart, his forehead rested against mine, both of us gasping for air. "This will ruin you," I whispered. He smiled bitterly. "Then let it ruin me too." From that night on, I was lost. We stole moments where we could, hidden in dark hallways, stolen kisses in the back of black cars, desperate touches behind locked doors. I knew it couldn't last. I knew every lie has an expiration date. But in Daniel's arms, none of that mattered. For the first time in my life, I wasn't pretending. Yet the guilt was unbearable. Emily wasn't blind. She saw the way her brother looked at me, the way I avoided her gaze when she reached for my hand. She never said anything, but the silence between us grew heavier each day. And Robert, he spoke to me like I was already his son. He planned futures I had no part in. Every word he spoke built a cage I couldn't escape. But Daniel, he was freedom, even if that freedom was borrowed time. The lie couldn't survive much longer. Lies never do. It was Emily who forced the truth into the open. She invited me to her apartment one rainy evening, her face pale, eyes tired. She poured 2 glasses of wine but didn't drink hers. When she finally spoke, her voice was steady, too steady. "You don't love me, do you?" she asked. The words cracked something inside me. My mouth opened, but no excuse came out. She studied me, her green eyes shimmering with tears she refused to shed. "You love him." There it was no accusation, just truth. And the truth hurt worse than any scream. I buried my face in my hands, whispering apologies I knew could never be enough. She placed her glass down and stood, her movements slow, deliberate. Then she leaned down, pressed a soft kiss against my cheek, and whispered, "Don't let him go. If you do, it won't just be you who's ruined." That night I couldn't sleep. Guilt churned in my stomach, but beneath it, a dangerous hope flickered. Emily wasn't angry, she was setting me free. But Robert wouldn't be so forgiving. The storm broke 2 days later. Robert called me into his office. He was holding a newspaper. The Society column headline screamed about Whitaker's daughter's mysterious broken engagement. My name was bolded, tangled in scandal. "What the hell is this?" Robert's voice thundered. I froze, my pulse hammering in my ears. Before I could form a lie, Daniel walked in. Calm, defiant. "It's true," Daniel said, his eyes never leaving his father. "He was never Emily's. He's mine." The silence was deafening. Robert's face drained of color, then turned red with rage. He slammed his fist against the desk, spit words like venom. "You will destroy this family. Both of you." Daniel moved toward me, his hand brushing mine in a silent vow. "No, father. The only thing that will destroy this family is living a lie." Robert's breathing grew heavy, but he didn't answer. He turned away, staring out the window, his shoulders trembling. For the first time, he looked old. We left before he could say another word. That night, Daniel and I walked through the rain-soaked streets of Manhattan, hand in hand, no longer hiding. Every step was both terrifying and liberating. I didn't know if I still had a career. I didn't know if Robert would ever forgive us. But for the first time in months, maybe years, I knew who I was, and I knew who I loved. Daniel squeezed my hand. "You're shaking," he murmured. "I'm terrified," I admitted. "So am I." He stopped under a flickering street lamp, pulled me close, and pressed his forehead against mine. "But I'd rather be terrified with you than safe without you." I laughed, a broken, breathless laugh that felt like release. And then I kissed him slow this time, tender, the kind of kiss that wasn't fire but home. The weeks that followed weren't easy. Whispers followed us. Tabloids speculated. Robert refused to see either of us. Emily, however, became our unlikely ally. She stood by us at family dinners, defended me in front of board members, and reminded her father over and over that love wasn't shameful, only lies were. It took months, but slowly, Robert's fury turned to silence, and silence softened into reluctant tolerance. He never apologized, not in words. But one morning, I found a small envelope on my desk. Inside was a note in his handwriting. "Take care of him. He is my son, but he has always been impossible. Maybe you're the one who can keep him steady." I kept that note folded in my wallet, pressed against my chest like armor. Daniel and I built something from the ruins of my lie. It wasn't perfect, love never is. But it was real. We shared a small apartment overlooking the city, where Sunday mornings smelled of coffee and burnt toast, where arguments ended with laughter, where nights stretched long and soft with whispered promises. Sometimes I still think about that first night at the Whitakers' dinner table, when Emily's hand gripped mine and the lie began. I thought I was protecting my career. I thought love was something I could perform, something I could fake. But love isn't a performance. It's the moment someone sees you at your most unworthy, your most broken, and still chooses you. Daniel chose me, and every day, In every stolen glance and every quiet touch, I choose him back. Because in the end, everything didn't collapse. Everything finally began. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.